In this video, we're going to take a look at a purple ink by KWZ, their Grey Plum. Now, as always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Also down in the description is a link to the purple ink playlist, so if you wanted to see more of them, you can find that there. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. Let's get into the first writing sample done on 90 GSM Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is just a tad lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. 16 seconds to dry. Now, the medium is darker than the extra fine and lighter than the stub. It's like there's just a couple of shades different. There's like 2 shade difference in total between all of this. The medium has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 21 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both shows no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it. And the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then a Visconti Medici with a broad nib is inked up, used for a day, and used to take the notes for this video. The next writing sample is done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. We have no bleeding, minor ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is a bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 23 seconds to dry. Medium is, again, just darker than the extra fine, just lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 32 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both shows no color variation. We're not getting any. And the smear test, there's a maybe you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down, and then it's put in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see this very nice purple at the bottom that's pushing its way up. It is attaching itself to the paper slightly as it goes, and across the top we get this very bright blue. Now the one on the right is let dry for 10 minutes before it's dunked in the water, and we see the line at the bottom is becoming a bit more embedded into the paper. It's starting to bond some, but the rest of it very much looks the same, but I really don't think we're going to expect much resistance here. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine's a bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 18 seconds to dry. Medium is darker than the extra fine, not as dark as the stub, just by a little bit, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 24 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we're not getting it. And the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, I would not use this in a note-taking situation because of the amount of blowout. I don't risk the information that I write. Water, we see, is lifting quite a bit of this ink up off the page. When you see where it's kind of yellowing and that particular splotch, that was bleach that I accidentally dropped another drop into a spot. Look at lower where it's starting to work its way away. Now in the bottom part of it, you see it got quite a bit lighter. So we do see that the water's starting to break it down. Pen flush does work a bit faster than water does, but we're not going to need the water because it only took water to, we're not going to need the pen flush because it only took water to get it out of the pen. Now the 1/3 bleach solution is completely removing it from the paper, but we're not going to need that 1/3 bleach solution here. The next writing sample is done on life paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 15 seconds to dry. Medium is dark like the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 20 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We're not expecting it, we're not getting it. In the smear test, you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity was 2.5, and the realm of normal was 2.1 to 2.9. KWZ's Grey Plum has a viscosity of 2.17, making it normal. If you're interested in how the viscosity tests and all that is done, then down in the description is a link to that video. Let's take a look at the next writing sample done on Levenger paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 10 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 13 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show no color variation because there hasn't been any this entire time, and it's probably not going to start now. The smear test says you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time was 17 seconds, and the realm of normal was 13 to 21 seconds. KWZ's Grey Plum has an average dry time of 22 seconds, making it take just a little bit longer than normal to dry. The last writing sample is done on Franklin Christoph paper. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 8 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 11 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we're not getting it. In the smear test, you still could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. Instead of finding inks that look like KWZ's Grey Plum, I'd prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. Now I went with a gray ink largely because of the name of this one, and I went with Noodler's Lexington Gray. Now if you'd prefer a different color for your complement, then down in the description is links to those playlists. So what do I think of KWZ's Grey Plum? I get tone variation by pen, but almost no shading. But in this pen, I do get some shading. A unique looking purple that I'm enjoying. The swatch looks a lot more blue than the writing, so swatches do lie. So what nib and pen give the best writing experience with this ink? A medium to dry flow broad pen can bring out a little bit of that shading that we saw in the last bit where you see the writing happening. If you're using a wet pen, you're going to get a much darker tone. That's not my preference, but it is a very dark, solid, nice tone. I hope you got something out of this video, and in the next video, we're going to take a look at Rohrer & Klinger's Solferino.